Rabbi Eli.
Letting me open. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Loud, good.
And you hear me okay?
Oh, beautifully, too loud. I'm gonna have to make you lower.
Too bad.
Speak to me more.
What? 765-123-7243.
Perfect. Okay, good. We're all set.
Goodbye.
See you after the Maariv service.
Yes, I'll be here.
Great. It's over here. So everybody's gonna have to sit over here. Okay. After Maariv, we'll give them presentations, we'll give out candles. We'll give out some readings. Here's ours. These are the ones we give out. All right, and Rabbi Eli will tell people. So do Asher Kaddish tomorrow. That's off the plate. Right? They're using the blue book. Blue book, right? Yes. Rabbi Eli, you still there?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
Yeah, I want to ask you a question.
You can't.
Can you hear me from back here?
A little bit. Yeah, I hear you. It sounds like you're in a can, but yeah, I hear you.
So if I have people do readings from back here, you can hear them?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
My point, I can make.
But they have to talk, a little loud, but yeah,
So if I have somebody do a reading from back here, you can hear them.
it should work.
Either that or I'll just hand them a microphone. And I can do like.
Oh, you're much better when you have the mic.
I can just do this and have them hold the mic. Okay.
Much
All right.
more better, much more better.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that then. All right, we'll have them hold the mic. Thank you.
I know, I couldn't sleep. Put on my regular shoes. I said, I guess I can wear sneakers. That helps. Saturday, Moses, Shabbat.
So what we're gonna do, oh, I need to get go hold the candle.
Sure.
All the lights downstairs are on.
Oh, downstairs. Oh.
Yeah. Close them all.
Skip for,
Those are locked up, didn't close downstairs. let me, yeah, we'll do that. That, oh, that.
Yeah. I thought it was the heat.
Hello. Let's go take a blue books. We're all take blue books. We're all blue books. Blue books.
Blue book.
Blue books. No closer. I think it will. I think it's gonna be huge. Who?
Oh, that's good.
Reform chapter 1, you can do that one. Chapter 2, if you want. Do I sit, do it from here? Oh,
Here we go.
well, you're on, and people are watching. How about you? They're watching. I was looking for this.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the one, I heard someone say, but actually, look at, I saw it early this morning, oh, I said, no problem, because it says announcements for Friday. Hello there. Shalom, shalom. Roger, in the end. Rabbi Bernie, this is Roger in the end. Welcome. Sit over here. We're sitting on this side. Everybody's on this side? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Good to see you. Hello.
Again.
Yes, I love that.
Don't sit there, sit there. No, you're up. No, you're up. They're all. We're on NBC two. Starting in a minute. No, a few minutes.
Blue one.
It's hard to get up. First time up. Always sat on the floor. I can do what?
I think you should follow the rabbi.
No, we're just gonna lament. him. Welcome to sit on the floor if you want. You want to sit on a low chair? Sit on a low chair. So it's still Shabbat, that's why I have my jacket on. As soon as Shabbat is over, jackets are off. But it's already. As soon as we're done tomorrow. Yeah, well, it's because it's a 3-star. Can't see it. What are we gonna do? Wow. I saw 3 stars. Yeah. In Hollywood.
All right.
Bada bing. All right. There he is, my brother. All right, we're going to turn to page 1 in the Siddur Sim Shalom. We're going to do Ashrei and Kaddish, and then we're going to move on to the Ma'ariv service. Welcome, everybody. And again, welcome to the folks at Rabbi Eli Perlman's congregation in New Jersey tonight, joining us as well for this combined Tisha B'Av or post, let's say, Shabbat service. Last year we did it together, but we did it all from our homes because we were stuck there. And this year we have the freedom to be back, and God willing, we'll continue that freedom, I hope. But we should add last year to one of the bad things that happened to all of us, for sure. So we'll start with Ashrei and then Kaddish, and then we're going to move on to the Ma'ariv service, after which we'll do the short, very abbreviated Havdalah, and then we'll start with Lamentations tonight, and we'll light our candles, etc. Page 1. Ashrei Shabbat Chasel, Ashrei Shabbat Chasel, Malchut Malchut Kolamim, Hallelujah. If you're saying Kaddish, Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 12 in Siddur Sim Shalom, and we rise for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma Divra Chirute, V'amlich Malchute, V'chayechon, Uv'yomechon, Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, B'agala Uv'izman Kari V'yamru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Leolam Molomei Omaya, Yit Barach, V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ar, V'yipromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudesha Barichu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbachata V'nechemata, Damiran V'alma V'yamru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yamru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yamru Amen. Let's turn to page 281. Everybody please rise. Page 281. The evening service begins. Vehu Rachu Mikaper Rabo V'lo Yashkit Pirpala Shiva Po V'lo Yirkoch Mato Adonai Yoshia Melech Yaneinu V'yom Koreinu Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Ora Yom V'Layla Kol Mipnei Choshech V'Choshech Mipnei Or Umavir Yom Umevi Laila Umavdil Ben Yom Uven Laila Adonai Tzebaot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamidim Loch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Amari V'Rabim. Yem chayenu v'yorech yomeinu v'hem nege yomam v'layla. V'yavatcha al tasim imenu le'olamim baruch atah Adonai. Ohei v'amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai echad. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha. V'chol avavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol ma'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela. Asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al avavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha b'beitecha. V'vlechtecha b'derech. V'v'shaftecha v'kumecha. V'kshatam la'ot al yadecha. V'hayu l'totafo b'neinecha. V'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha. U'visharecha. Continue sound. V'ayim shemua. Tishmu al mitzvotai asher anochi mitzavatem. The sound to Israel, all of it can be on the Jewish. The man you may be Nechem al hadama asher nishbaranai lavotechem lated lam kimesh mama al aretz. Let's read together. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta alehem v'yasu lahem tzitzit al kanfei bigdehem ledoratam v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf v'til techelet v'haya lachem letzitzit v'reitem oto v'schartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'yasitem otam. V'lo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei enechem asher atem zonim achareihem lema'an tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet. Adonai Elohechem emet. I'll call Sunday one Salon. V'malchut tov ratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe b'nei Yisrael echanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chula micha mocha b'olim Adonai micha mocha nedar b'kodesh norati lo tosef pelech malchut charov v'necha b'kayam lifnei Moshe Ze Elianu v'yamru Adonai yimloch leolam v'ed v'nemar kivnei et Yaakov v'golom yad chazak mimenu baruch Adonai goal Yisrael. Ashkivenu, page 284. Again, but then it was so well. Oh, you have David Bechara Barab, you have one of the sisters from the one of the Ushmor Tzeitain, Uvowain, Ulachayim, Shalom, Yataber Olam Baruch Ataranai, Shomer Amo Yisrael, Oad, Baruch Hanai Leolam, Amen, Amen. Yich Vod Merlin, Mamis Makum, Zemisham, Baruch V'yakol ha'ama yiflu al p'neim v'imru Adonai hu ha'Elohim. Adonai hu ha'Elohim v'haya Adonai melech al kol ha'aretz b'yom ha'hu yanai echad v'shma echad yichas techad na'elei nefesh Yigadol atavesed iflot ata Elohim levadecha v'yana ha'achnu amcha b'tzom aritecha nadel lecha le'olam l'dor v'dor nesaper kilatecha Baruch Hanai b'yom Baruch Hanai b'layla Baruch Hanai b'shofein, Baruch Hanai b'shofein. Yirueneinu v'yismach libeinu, v'tagel nafsheinu v'shuatecha be'emet, v'molotzo malach Elohayich, Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai mloch le'olam v'ed, ki ha'malchut shelcha hi l'mei timloch b'chavod, ki en lanu melech ela ata Baruch ata Adonai, ha'melech b'chvodo, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam v'ed, V'al kol masav Yigadal v'yikadash me rabba V'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlech malchutei B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'b'chaye l'chol Beit Yisrael. B'galau v'zman karib imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbam u'barach le'olam olomei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yibar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiram v'yoma v'yimru. Amen.
We will continue reading silently 286A or B through page 291. Then you may be seated.
El HaKadosh, Ata Chonei Ladam Da'at, Olamed Lanu, Shekina. Kodesh L'chol. Ben Or L'choshech Ben Yisrael U'Amin Ben Yom HaShvil Shesh Yimei Maseh. Mahabim. Ruganai Chonei Ladam. Reina Veina everybody Veina Velena Merana Machina Yusuf and Nefan Elohim of Venu, Shitarak and Washma Mishmat from that, Fratanet, Frataku, a Korachol, in Behabadim Shilim. So Shep Israel, Bazil, Yes, Kitsakan, Yamer Profen, and Abrak, and the Tabor of the land. Echole, Amor, Israel. Rech Alein, and I am him, Kashan, then Bracha, open Hadamat. Shiva Shoftim Kedushin. Broken on Melech Hibs, the Kat Mishpat. Allah Tzadikim be Allah Chasidim be Yazid and Chabeit Israel. But that's a good idea. Get it said again. בני אותה בקרוב יאמר בניין עולם וכיסא במהרה תחת אחים ברוכנאי בני ירושלים. את שמח תביא לבך מרת עצמך. שמע קהילנו ורנאי אלוהינו חוס רחם עלינו וקבל רחם עצמנו ובזבנו כשמת ורק בנתם. מפנך מכנו רקם אל תשיבנו כי אתה שמת ורק תפש וברחמים ברחם עליך שמת ורק. תנא אלוהינו חשב ושמת. Because I don't understand talk about that. Yeah, I'll call me for acid punch. I'm a kind of celebrate. Shalom Rabbi, page 287. If we read together in the English, page 287, we can read the passage that is normally said on a Saturday night. You graciously endow mortals with intelligence, teaching us wisdom. You graciously granted us knowledge of your Torah, teaching us to fulfill the laws you have willed. You set apart the sacred from profane, even as you separated light from darkness, singled out the people Israel from among the nations, and distinguished Shabbat from all other days. Avinu Malkeinu, may the coming days bring us peace. May they be free of sin and cleansed of wrongdoing. May they find us more closely attached to you. Grant us knowledge, wisdom, and discernment. Praise are you, Adonai, who graciously grants us intelligence. And we turn to page 291, and we read the passage after the Amida together, and we will not be singing Oseh Shalom afterwards. My God, keep my tongue from evil, my lips from lies. Help me ignore those who would slander me. Let me be humble before all. Open my heart to your Torah, that I may pursue your mitzvot. Frustrate the designs of those who plot evil against me. Make nothing of their schemes. Act for the sake of your compassion, your power, your holiness, and your Torah. Answer my prayer for the deliverance of your people. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who brings peace to his universe bring peace to us, to all the people of Israel. And let us say, Amen. And at this time, we will turn to page 294. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divra chirutei v'yamach malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chai l'chol beit Yisrael b'agalav zman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam v'lo me'omaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudishah b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata. Damiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Anybody notice anything I didn't do right now? What? That's right. You know why I didn't do it? Because we're in a house of mourning. Right, technically. So you don't say it because you don't ask for prayers that we know aren't going to be accepted, right? So something we don't do. Page 297 will rise. We're not going to sing it, but we'll do the Aleinu. Page 297. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'teik l'alil tzebrishit l'shavas v'nachnu korim mishtachavim u'madim lefnei melech malchei malchim kadosh baruch hu shum teshema v'yoserev tzemoshe k'moshe. Okay, nikabel lechal na'laheinu. V'chablu kolam v'chom v'chutach v'timloch l'me'olam v'kem achudjega hine v'timloch v'chabot k'katu b'dorotach na'imloch l'olam v'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz v'yom ha'hu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shmo echad. Mourner's Kaddish is recited on page 298. Those saying Kaddish or observing a yortzeit for Sunday 298. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala u'v'zman kari v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam v'lomei olmaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudishah b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We're going to do Havdalah. Let me take off my jacket. I'll show you. Feels like summer in here. I went to school. Taught us how to light a fire. Please rise, everybody. It's the first thing they teach you, how to smoke in the men's room. Did I say that? I did. No wine tonight, no spices. And we already did the Hinayel. We already did that in the Amida. So Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei miorei ha'esh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil bein kodesh l'chol bein or l'choshech bein Yisrael u'amim bein yom hashvi l'sheshet yimei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil bein kodesh l'chol. And you know what we're going to do? Softly. Eliyahu hanavi, Eliyahu
hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu,
Eliyahu
hati. Yavo Eleinu. Mashiach. Mashiach.
Ben David
Eliyahu.
Tamid
Eliyahu. Atishbi. Eliyahu. 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 Agiladi.
I'm going to be passing along the booklets here. Hold on to them, you don't need them right now. But before we begin, I turn things over to my brother, Eli Perlman, of Beit Shalom in Monroe Township, New Jersey. I remember that without reading.
No, it's interesting. I'm looking at the gallery here. And online, I see almost all of them on Zoom are from my shul. And actually, one is actually from Florida in my shul. Anyway, let me begin by saying that Tisha B'Av is, without any arguments, the saddest day on the Jewish calendar. But my question is, should it be? Maybe we should like Tisha B'Av, not because it is enjoyable, because it definitely is not, but because of what it represents and the impact that it has had on the history of a people. Think about it. There are many more Italians in the world than Jews, yet no one mourns the fall of Rome. Nobody. There are many more Greeks than Jews. The Acropolis and the Parthenon are tourist attractions. But does anyone grieve because they were destroyed? I don't know anybody that does. Do you? Babylonia, Persia, Assyria, the glory of ancient Egypt. Who remembers? Who sheds a tear? Who cares? Maybe we should celebrate Tisha B'Av rather than mourn, because only a people that can weep can someday learn to laugh. More importantly, maybe we should like Tisha B'Av because we need to remember our past, the good, the bad, and especially the ugliest of times. Tonight, while we all enjoy relative affluence and comfort in our lives, tonight we put that aside and we remove our leather shoes, we dim the lights, and we're asked to fast and not to indulge ourselves. We read Eicha, Lamentations, as we are brought to tears, as we face our people's torturous history and our bloody past. We turn away from our personal desires and we focus on our past and on those who gave all for Kiddush Hashem, to ensure that God's name and God's people remains holy. We need Tisha B'Av because it reminds us of what it is to be a Jew, that Esav despised Yaakov, that Paro tormented Bnei Israel, that Haman yearned to destroy the Jew, and that to this day the empires of the world abhor the Jew, because the Jew was chosen to be a kingdom of priests, a light unto the nations, the conscience of all of humanity. We should celebrate Tisha B'Av because it teaches something profound. For Judaism, historical events are not just words in history books, not just events that happened and are forgotten. History and events take place at a point in time. But for the Jewish people, once an event occurs, it goes on being part of us. They awaken an awareness, new understandings, new perceptions, and a new consciousness. We achieve a new insight that remains part of us. On certain days in our history, the awareness of joy as an element of life, like Sukkot, or of godliness, like on Rosh Hashanah, or feeling near to God, like on Pesach, like during creation when we first entered the universe. It was on Tisha B'Av that the importance of balancing joy with tragedy and disaster were introduced to us. Many years ago, a person asked me, why bother with an event that took place over 2,000 years ago? Why mourn? Why sigh? Today we have modern Israel. Shouldn't we rejoice? Is there a country more concerned about daily security than Israel? Is there a country that has more bitter experience of friendly countries growing cold and distant at the slightest provocation than Israel? We know the answer. There is no other country that has to struggle more about their sovereignty and where their ancient capital is located. There is no other country that has international restrictions placed on it when it comes to enjoying the right to visit and worship their ancient holy sites that reside in their own borders. Tisha B'Av reminds us that the destruction of the temple and our exile from our land was caused by baseless hatred between Jew and Jew. Tisha B'Av is a good day to think about why we still have Jews who hate Jews. We should like Tisha B'Av because it contains a message of profound hope and faith. It was on this day that our sages teach us that the Mashiach was born. Think about how profoundly insightful, how ironic, how on the worst day on our Hebrew calendar, redemption begins. Today was the Shabbat that precedes Tisha B'Av. We read the very first chapter of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. That is the chapter of the prophet's harsh vision due to our people's misbehavior. On this coming Shabbat, we will read the 40th chapter of Yeshayahu. It is here where he declares, comfort ye, my people. Nachamu, nachamu. Just as today's tears are real, so will our sense of comfort be real. Think about that. With that kind of assurance, is there any wonder why we should not actually like Tisha B'Av? Rabbi Rick, back to you.
Eli, please mute. Not sure you heard me.
I heard you.
Okay,
I
good.
heard you before you said it. I heard you.
All right, enough with the smiling. Rabbi Bernie and I are going to be taking some turns here, doing some of the Hebrew. I know that, Rabbi Eli, you gave your congregation links to the Hebrew. The English is going to be a little different, but if you'll follow along with us, you probably will get the gist. What we're going to do is we have some folks that have readings that they will be reading before each chapter. And then Rabbi Bernie and I will read perhaps page 1, and I'll do the Hebrew, and then we'll go around the room for the remainder of the chapter in English. Now, because we have people a lot listening to us, I would ask you to pass the microphone around. Now, if you do not want to read, just say pass and pass the microphone to the person next to you. The only people that we have no choice, though, are the people that have been given the first readings. And the people that have been given the actual readings have no choice. But people, when we get to you, if you just don't feel comfortable reading, just pass the mic to the person alongside of you. So to read the first reading.
With one great swipe of his unmerciful hand, he led us destruction. With one great tear streaming from my eye, I send myself back in time to those painful years, a time when the world was ablaze with a burning hatred, a hatred so threatening and vicious against the humble people so full of innocence. Why? I question myself, gazing above into the clear blue sky, expecting an answer, but no answer comes. With each fresh tear, I struggle with my burden until one night in my dream, the answer is revealed. A dream bursting with hope. It was hope that took my people by the hand and led us into a new world of promise. We are fragile no more. Within my people, there is a strength born out of hope. Wretchedness, a strength born out of hope. Wretchedness and despair abound no more. We are here, for deep within us, there lies hope.
We begin with chapter 1, Echa. It's on page 35 in the booklets that we have here, page 35. Echa yashva badar, ayir raboti amaita kahalamana, raboti v'goyim sarati, במדינות הייתה למס, בחותה תבכה בלילה, בדמעתה על לחיה, על למנחם מכל אוהביה, כהוראיה וגדורה. Oy la le'oivim, Galata Yehuda, Meoni umerov, Avadahi, Yashba b'goyim lo matza manoach, Kol rodefeha sinawa bein hamatzarim. Darchi Zion Ablo Nivili Moed Kol Besareha Somemin Kahaneha Nenachim Biluteha Neugot Vehumar La Oitzareha Lerosh Shaibeha Shalom kol Adonai Honya al Rav B'Hashem Ole Ole al Chut Shvi Lifnei Tzar V'yetze mi ben Zion kol Hadara Oisareha Halalim Lo Matzui Maria V'yachalu Balo Koach Lifnei Rodav.
Zachra Yerushalayim Yimei Anya Murudeha Kol Machamudeha Asher Hayom Yimei Ketem Bin Fol Amabiyatzar V'yein Hozer La Ra'u Hatzarim Sachaku Al Mishpateha Ched Chat'a Yerushalayim Al Kain Legida Haita Kol Mechavdeha Hiziluha Ki Ra'u Ervata Gam Hinancha B'Tashavachor Jumata Bishuleha Lo Zachra Kirita V'Tered Palaim Emenachem La Re'ei Adonai et Oni Ki Higdil Oyev Yado Paras Tzar Al Kol Machamadeha Kirata Goyim Ba'u Mikdasha Asher Tzivita Lo Yavo B'Kahal Olav Kol Amanechan Ne'enachim Mevakshim Lechem Natnu Macham Dehem B'yochel Ashiv Nafesh Re'ei Adonai V'abita Ki Hayita Zoleila Yo Alechem Kol Ovdei Derech Habitu Uru Im Yesh Mach Kimach Oivi Asher Olali Asher Hod Adonai B'yom Charon Apo.
Now we're going to go around through the end of this chapter on page 37. People will read a line and then pass the mic to the next person. Again, if you choose not to read, stop, it's fine, just pass it along.
From above, he sent a fire. Right. Yeah. Down into my bones. He spread a net for my feet. He hurled me backward. He has left me forlorn in constant misery.
The yoke of my offenses is bound fast, lashed tight by his hand, imposed upon my neck. It saps my strength. The Lord has delivered me into the hands of those I cannot withstand.
The Lord in my midst has rejected all my heroes. He has proclaimed a set time against me to crush my young men. and in a press the Lord has trodden fair maiden Judah.
For these things do I weep, my eyes flow with tears. Far from me is my comforter, who may retrieve my spirit. My children are forlorn, for the foe has prevailed.
Zion spread out her hands. She has no one to comfort her. The Lord is summoned against Jacob. His enemies all about him. Jerusalem has become among them a thing unclean.
The Lord is in the right, for I have disobeyed him. Hear, all you peoples, and behold my agony. My maidens and my youths have gone into captivity.
I cried out to my friends, but they played me false. My priests and my elders have perished in the city as they search for food to keep themselves alive.
See, O Lord, the distress I am in. My heart is in anguish. I know how wrong I was to disobey. Outside the sword deals death, indoors the plague.
When they heard how I was sighing, there was none to comfort me. All my foes heard of my plight and exulted. What is your doing? You have brought on the day that you threatened. Oh, let them become like me.
Let all their wrongdoing come before you, and deal with them as you have dealt with me. For all my transgressions or my sighs are many, and my heart is sick.
Okay, we've just finished chapter 1. We're going to read chapter 2. We have reader number 2.
God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will we not fear, though the earth does change, and though the mountains be moved into the heart of the seas, though the waters thereof roar and foam, though the mountains shake at the swelling thereof. Forever there is a river, the streams whereof make glad the city of God, the holiest dwelling place of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God shall help her at the approach of morning. Nations were in tumult, kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. God of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our high tower forever. Come, behold the works of our Lord, who hath made desolations in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariots in the fire. Let be and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth.
Chapter 2.
Echa Ya'ibia po Adonai et bat Zion. Ishlik mishamayim eretz tiferet Yisrael. V'lo zachach hadom raglav biyom apo. Bila Adonai lo chamal eid kol neot Yaakov. Haraz be'avrato miftzarei ba'Yehuda higia la'aretz hileh mamlacha v'sareha.
Going to pick up on page 39 at the top, Deb.
In blazing anger, he has cut down all the might of Israel. He has withdrawn his right hand in the presence of the foe. He has ravaged Jacob like a flaming fire, consuming on all sides.
He bent his bow like an enemy, poised his right hand like a foe. He slew all who delighted the eye. He poured out his wrath like fire in the tent of fair Zion.
The Lord has acted like a foe. He has laid waste Israel, laid waste all her citadels, destroyed her strongholds. He has increased within fair Judah, mourning and moaning.
He has stripped his booth like a garden. He has destroyed his tabernacle. The Lord has ended in Zion festival and Sabbath. In his raging anger, he has spurned king and priest.
The Lord has rejected his altar, disdained his sanctuary. He has handed over to the foe the walls of its citadels. They raised a shout in the house of the Lord as on a festival day.
The Lord resolved to destroy the wall of fair Zion. He measured with the line, refrained not from bringing destruction. He has made wall and rampart to mourn. Together their language.
We're on page 40.
Gates have sunk into the ground. He has smashed her bars to bits. Her king and her leaders are in exile. Instruction is no more. Her prophets too receive no vision from the Lord.
Silent, sit on the ground, the elders of fair Zion. They have strewn dust on their heads. They gift themselves with and girt themselves with sackcloth. The maidens of Jerusalem have bowed their heads to the ground.
My eyes are spent with tears, my heart is told. My being melts away over the ruin of my poor people, as babes and sucklings languish in the squares of the city.
They keep asking their mothers, where is bread and wine? As they languish like battle wounded in the squares of the town, as their life runs out in their mother's bosoms.
What can I take as witness or liken to you, O fair Jerusalem? What can I match with you to console you, O fair maiden Zion? For your ruin is vast as the sea. Who can heal you?
Your seers prophesied to you delusion and folly. They did not expose your iniquity so as to restore your fortunes, but prophesied to you oracles of delusion and deception.
All who pass your way clap their hands at you. They hiss and wag their heads at their Jerusalem. Is this the city that was called perfect in beauty, joy of all the earth?
All your enemies jeer at you. They hiss and gnash their teeth and cry, we've ruined her. All this day we hoped for, we have lived to see it.
Continuing on chapter 2, verse 17. Aseh Adonai asher zamam, batsa amarto, asher tziva mimei kedem, aras velo chamal, v'samach aleich, ayev harim kerem zaharayich, sak libam el Adonai, Chomar bat Zion, oridi kenachal dimama yamam v'layla, al titini punat lach, el tidom ba'adenai einach, kumi rani v'layla lerosh Ashmurot Shofachi Kemayim Libech Necha B'nei Adonai Sati Elav Kapach Al Nefesh Alayich Hatavi Barav Barosh Chochutzot Rai Adonai v'habita lemei alatav kachoko im tolachana nahasim harim alalei timuchim ani chareg b'mikdesh Adonai kohen v'nachbi.
Shakfu la'aretz chutzot nar bazaken. Betulote avakure. Naflu v'akarev. Haragta biyom apecha. Tavakta lo chamalta. Tikra chiyom moed migurei misaviv. V'lo haya biyom af Adonai. Palit v'sarid. Ashiti pakti v'ribiti oy v'chilam.
We continue now on page 42, chapter 3, the reading for chapter 3.
The Lord has done great things. A song of ascents. When the Lord brought back those that returned to Zion, we were like unto them that dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. Then said they among the nations, the Lord hath done great things with these. The Lord hath done great things with us. We are rejoiced. Turn our captivity, O Lord, as the streams in the dry land, that they sow in tears shall reap in joy. Though he goeth on his way weeping, that beareth the measure of seed, he shall come home with joy, bearing his sheaves.
Chapter 3, verse 1, English.
I am the man who has known affliction under the rod of his wrath. Me he drove on and on in unrelieved darkness. On none but me he brings down his hand again and again without cease. He has worn away my flesh and skin. He has shattered my bones. All around me he has built misery and hardship. He has made me dwell in darkness like those long dead. He has walled me in and I cannot break out. He has weighed me down with chains. And when I cry and plead, he shuts out my prayer. He has walled in my ways with hewn blocks. He has made my paths a maze.
He is a lurking bear to me, a lion in hiding. He has forced me off my way and mangled me. He has left me numb. He has bent his bow and made me the target of his arrows.
He has shot into my vitals the shafts of his quiver. I have become a laughingstock to all people, the butt of their jibes all day long. He has filled me with bitterness, sated me with wormwood.
He has broken my teeth on gravel, has ground me into dust. My life was bereft of peace. I forgot what happiness was. I thought my strength and hope had perished before the Lord. To call my distress and my misery was wormwood and poison. Whenever I thought of them, I was bowed low.
Number 21.
This I do call to mind, therefore I have hope. The kindness of the Lord has not ended. His mercies are not spent. They are renewed every morning. Ample is your grace.
The Lord is my portion, I say with my full heart. Therefore will I hope in him. The Lord is good to those who trust in him, to the one who seeks him.
It is good to wait patiently till the rescue comes from the Lord. It is good for a man when young to bear a yoke. Let him sit alone and be patient when he has laid it upon him. Let him put his mouth to the dust, there may be yet be hope. Let him offer his cheek to the smitter, and let him serve his fade with mockery.
For the Lord does not reject forever, but first afflicts, then pardons in his abundant kindness. For he does not willfully bring grief or affliction to man.
Crushing under his feet all the prisons of the earth, to deny a man his rights in the presence of the Most High, to wrong a man in his cause, this the Lord does not choose.
Whose decree was ever fulfilled unless the Lord willed it. It is not at the word of the Most High that weal and woe befall. Oh, what shall a living man complain? Each one of his own sins.
Let us search and examine our ways and turn back to the Lord. Let us lift up our hearts with our hands to God in heaven. We have transgressed and rebelled, and you have not forgiven.
You have clothed yourself in anger and pursued us. You have slain without pity. You have screened yourself off with a cloud that no prayer may pass through. You have made us filth and refuse in the midst of the peoples. All our enemies loudly rail against us. Panic and pitfall are our lot. Death and destruction. My eyes shed streams of water over the ruin of my poor people.
Eini nira v'lo tiramamayim hafunot yashkif vayera Adonai mishamayim Eini olala lenafshi mikobanot iri Sur tzaduni kitzipor ay vechinam Samatu b'vor hachai yadu ebenbi Safu mayim aroshi amarti nizarati Karati Shem Shemcha Adonai Mivor Techatiyot Kol Ishamata Al Talam Azamecha Virachati L'Sheyati Kirabeta V'Yom HaKarecha Amarta Al Tira Rabta Adonai, Rivei Nafshi Gal Tachai, Ra'ita Adonai Anati, Shavta Mishapati, Ra'ita Kol Nikamta, Kol Mishchavot Chamli, Shamata Harapatam Adonai Kol, Michashuvachatam Alai, Safcheti komi vinatanam alai kol hayom shivtam v'kimatam abita ani mani natam tashiv lahem gamol Adonai kamase yadehem Titen lahem minat lev, talat chalahem, dirudov beyov, bitishmitehem mitachat, shemei Adonai. Who has reading number 4?
In the day of trouble. Lord, answer thee in the day of trouble. The name of the God of Jacob set thee on high. Send forth thy help from the sanctuary and support thee out of Zion. We will shout for joy in thy victory, and in the name of God we will set up our standards. Lord, fulfill all thy petitions. Now know that I, the Lord, saveth his anointed. He will answer him from his holy heaven with the mighty acts of his saving right hand.
We're going to continue now on page 46.
Eicha yuam zahav, yishgah ketem chatov, tishtapachna avnei kodesh barosh kol chutzot, b'nei Tzion hayikarim, hamesulaim bapaz eicha nechshavu, לכרס מעשה ידי יוצר, גם תנין חלצו שד, הניקו גוריהן, באת מלאכזר, כי העיניים במדבר, דבק לשון יונק, אל חיתו בצמא, עוללים שאלו לכם, פורס אין להם, האוכלים למדענים, נשמו בחוצות, אמונים עלי תולה, חיבקו השפחתות. וידע לבון בת עמי, מחתה צדום, הפוכה כמו רגע, ולא חלוף הידיים. זעקו נזירי המשלג, צרחו מחלב, אדמו עצם מפנינים, ספק עזרתם. חשך משחור תרם, לא נקרו בחוצות, צפד אורם על עצמם, יבש היה כעץ. טוב היו חללי חרב, מחללי רעב, שהם יזובו, מדוכרים מתנובות צעדי.
Page 47, we'll continue now in the English.
With their own hands, tender-hearted women have cooked their children. Such became their fear in the disaster of my poor people.
The Lord vented all his fury, poured out his blazing wrath. He kindled a fire in Zion, which consumed its foundations. The kings of the earth did not believe, nor any of the inhabitants of the world, that foe or adversary could enter the gates of Jerusalem.
It was for the sins of her prophets, the iniquities of her priests, who had shed in her midst the blood of the just. They wandered blindly through the streets, defiled with blood, so that no one was able to touch their garments. Away, unclean, people shouted at them. Away, away, touch not. So they wandered and wandered again. For the nations resolved, they shall stay here no longer.
The Lord's countenance has turned away from them. We will look on them no more. They showed no regard for priest, no favor to elder. Even now our eyes pine away in vain for deliverance. As we waited, still we wait for a nation that cannot help.
Our steps were checked. We could not walk in our squares. Our doom is near. Our days are done. Alas, our doom has come. Our pursuers were swifter than the eagles in the sky. They chased us in the mountains, lay in wait for us in the wilderness.
The breath of our life, the Lord's anointed, was captured in their traps. He in whose shade we had thought to live among the nations.
Rejoice and exult for Edom, who dwell in the land of Uz. To you, too, the cup shall pass. You shall get drunk and expose your nakedness.
Your iniquity, fair Zion, is expiated. He will exile you no longer. Your iniquity, fair Edom, he will note. He will uncover your sins.
Remember, O Lord, what has befallen us. Behold and see our disgrace. Our heritage is passed to aliens, our homes to strangers. We have become orphans, fatherless, our mothers like widows. We must pay to drink our own water, obtain our own kindling at a price. We are hotly pursued, exhausted. We are given no rest. We hold out a hand to Egypt, to Assyria for a fill of bread. Our fathers sinned and are no more, and we must bear their guilt. Slaves are ruling over us, with none to rescue us from them.
And now we go to chapter 5. My reader for chapter 5.
Where do we go from here? Through violence, you may murder a murderer, but you can't murder a murder. Through violence, you may murder a liar, but you can't establish truth. Through violence, you may murder a hater, but you can't murder hate. Darkness cannot put out darkness. Only light can do that. Difficult and painful as it is, we must walk in the days ahead with audacious faith in the future. When our days become dreary with low, hovering clouds of despair, and when our nights become darker than 1,000 midnights, let us remember there's a creative force in this universe working to pull down the gigantic mountains of evil, a power that is able to make a way out of no way and transform dark yesterdays into bright tomorrows. Let us realize the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Dr. Martin Luther King.
We're going to read chapter 5 through to verse 18, then we'll stop.
We get our bread at the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin glows like an oven with the fever of famine. They have ravished women in Zion, maidens in the towns of Judah.
Princes have been hanged by them. No respect has been shown to elders. Young men must carry millstones, and youth stagger under the load of wood.
The old men are gone from the gate, the young men from their music. Gone is the joy of our hearts. Our dancing is turned into mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us that have sinned. We have sinned. Because of this, our hearts are sick. Because of these, our eyes are dimmed.
We're on verse 18. Rabbi, take it out.
Al Hatzion Shashamim Shu'alim Hilchuvo Ata Adonai Leolam Teshev Yisacha Ledor Vador Lama Lanetzach Tishkachenu Tazvenu Lorech Yamim Hashivenu Adonai Elecha V'Natshuva Chadesh Yameinu Kikedem Ki Im Ma'oz Mastanu Katzavta aleinu al me'od.
All rise and read those lines together, aloud as we face the flag of Eretz Yisrael. Because of Mount Zion, which lies desolate, together jackals prowl over it. But you, O Lord, are enthroned forever. Your throne endures through the ages. Why have you forgotten us utterly, forsaken us for all time? Take us back, O Lord, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old. For truly you have rejected us, bitterly raged against us. Take us back, O Lord, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old. To all, we wish an easy fast. Thank you all for joining us this evening here and wherever you are, a good evening. Put them out. Oh, you didn't put them out? All of you watching, have a good night.
Tomorrow morning at